Dad Likes Laptops here again with another review of the Acer Aspire 5. This is a mid-range laptop, and if it ends up being something you'd like to purchase, it will set you back around $600 depending on where you buy it from at the time of this recording. So now let's take a look at what comes in the box. Of course, you'll get your Acer Aspire 5 15.6-inch laptop. You'll get some documentation regarding usage and warranty and all that other stuff. And you'll get a barrel-style two-piece charging brick. Now, I'm not a fan of the two-piece charging bricks, but whatever, this one isn't that bad. Taking a look at the I/O, on one side you have a USB 2.0 port and a Kensington lock if you're into that kind of thing. Flipping it around, you'll get a barrel jack for your charger, an Ethernet jack, which is great, a full-size HDMI out, and another USB 2.0 port, a USB 3.0 port, and a headphone microphone combo jack. Not bad I/O, but you'd probably expect that for a mid-range laptop. Moving on to build quality. There is a little wiggle in the screen, but it feels very sturdy overall, and the hinge is very secure. There is some moderate deck flex towards the center of the keyboard, but honestly, it's not very noticeable during use. It definitely looks worse than it is. The trackpad is very smooth, although not the best. It is force click as well as tap click, which is very nice, and it's relatively consistent with give throughout the trackpad, except at the bottom corners. There is definitely more give there. All right, let's give it a cold boot test. This is real time, and I just really like how snappy this thing is when firing it up. The display is IPS with great viewing angles, but it is not touchscreen. We are running a Ryzen 3 3200U, which is a dual-core, multi-threaded processor. We're using 8 GB of RAM and a 128 GB SSD, but after Windows 10, we only have about 80 GB of space left. Pulling up YouTube is pretty snappy, which is great because that website is massive. So I thought I'd check out some 4K video playback. Even though the screen is only 1080p, it's very clear and looks better than most 1080p screens. It's also super bright. You'll notice we are dropping some frames here and there, but without running Windows Game Capture, it actually is really smooth. Next, I wanted to see how it did with WebGL in the fish tank, and it handled everything surprisingly well. 500 and 1,000 fish were expected to run well, but you'll see that we don't really start dropping frames until about 15,000 fish, which is really awesome for a processor with only 2 cores. Next, I wanted to try some emulation. My expectations weren't super high given the processor, but I figured I would run some GameCube. Super Smash ran pretty well with some stuttering here and there. You'll notice I'm getting my butt handed to me because I'm not actually much of a gamer. But if you were, this would be a decently playable experience, especially if I took some time to optimize it inside of the Dolphin emulator. I wanted to try one more title that is a little more demanding. So I fired up F-Zero X and we really started to see the limitations of this laptop. There were occasional moments of playability, but generally speaking, it was awful playing this game on the Aspire 5. I'd like to interrupt this video with some ASMR for your enjoyment and take this time to remind you that now would be an excellent time for you to hit the like button and subscribe. As a small channel, your contribution means a lot to me, and I thank you in advance. Next, let's take a look at some Geekbench scores, not because I think you should make your purchasing decisions based on synthetic benchmarks, but because I do think it is useful to see how your computer and processor stack up to other machines on the market. The Aspire 5 got a single core score of 603, which puts it in the same category of performance as like a second generation Intel i5 or i7, which was a really good generation for Intel, by the way, but still definitely 8 years old. In multi-core performance, we scored a 1625, which plants us somewhere between a 6th generation Intel i5 and an AMD A10 7870K. Wow, that's a mouthful. Both of which are dual-core processors. And that makes sense, but it also means that we're not working with a powerhouse of performance in this machine. Okay, let's talk about use cases. What would you use this laptop for? And honestly, I was thinking about it, and after my experience with the Acer Aspire 5, you could use it for anything pretty much, unless you know you need a beefier machine, right? So like if you're a gamer, obviously you're not using this laptop. If you do video editing, you're not using this laptop. If you are a programmer, you're probably not using this laptop, right? You're not getting massive amounts of work done on it. But as like a family laptop, as a media PC, as you know, you're creating family videos or doing some light photo editing or something like that, the Acer Aspire 5 is actually a really, really good PC for that. So if you have an older computer, you just need to replace it, I would definitely recommend the Aspire 5 as an option. Now, it is kind of in that upper mid tier of pricing, so it's $600, and you might be able to get something comparable in performance for $450 or $500, but I do really like the look, the feel, the experience. Everything about this laptop is just pretty darn good, right? And again, it's not best in its class, it's not high end, but it's just a really good laptop, generally speaking. So I would definitely recommend the Aspire 5 as a general all-purpose student, family, personal laptop for most everything. And that's it for our video today. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for all future content. And thanks for watching.